But now 19-year-old student Amika George has spent the last 2 years campaigning for free sanitary products in the UK.
And with the expected announcement tomorrow from Chancellor Phillip promising to end period poverty in English secondary schools, making free sanitary products available, it seems her mission is accomplished.
But Amika is only just getting started, because she joins us now alongside Labour MP Danielle Rowley, who has also campaigned to end period poverty, to discuss why the taboo and stigma surrounding periods should be a thing of the past. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us. So, Amika, let's go back. 2017, is that right?
Yeah.
You were studying, doing what you were doing. Why did this become such a big issue for you?
So I started the campaign Free Periods just after reading an article about girls having to miss school because they couldn't afford pads or tampons. And I'm really lucky that I've never suffered through that myself. But I was just so shocked because I thought about times I'd had to miss school for a day just for a random reason, and then get really stressed about having to catch up or missing exams. And I thought a week every month would just be ridiculous, and that can't be right, and that can't be happening in the UK. And it really shocks me that the government didn't step in immediately to do something, which is why I started a campaign on social media and online to try and get the government to provide the products for free.
What did you call it?
It's called Free Periods, and we want universal access for all children to get free menstrual products, because we know now there's very concrete evidence that this is happening. 1 in 10 girls are reported to not be able to afford menstrual products. So we really hope that the announcement tomorrow will make a huge impact, as it has done in Scotland. But we want it, at the moment, it's only for English secondary schools, so we really want that to be stretched to primary schools and colleges, and we really want it to be enshrined in legislation so that it can't just be got rid of when the next government comes in. It needs to be a legal obligation. Because,
well, the stats are extraordinary.
Yeah.
British women spend more than £18,000 on menstrual products over the course of their life. That's £13 a month. Nearly half of the girls surveyed were embarrassed by their period, and many were afraid to ask for help because of the stigma. If a girl misses school, every time she has a period, she's set 145 days behind her male counterparts. On average, women have 456 periods. That means that throughout their lifetime, they'll menstruate for over 6 years. And the thing is that and then period poverty forced more than a quarter of females to miss work or school in the UK. 137,700 children in the UK have missed school because of period poverty. 40% of girls in the UK have had to use toilet roll because they couldn't afford menstrual products because of period poverty. Yeah. One of the things there that interested me was nearly half the girls surveyed were embarrassed. Now, I understand that, you know, that you have to break down the taboo and the stigma, and we'll come to what the comments you made in the House of Commons. But why amongst girls?
Yeah, it's everybody. I think we've been socialised into thinking that periods are just so embarrassing, so shameful, we can't talk about them. Some of my friends haven't talked to their mums about them. They only told their mum 6 months after starting that they'd started because they were so embarrassed. And I think the conversation needs to be normalised, not just amongst girls, but amongst boys. Anyone who doesn't have a period, I think they want to know more, and we need to encourage that conversation, because it should just be thought of as something like what you had for breakfast. It shouldn't be like a embarrassing thing, or we slip tampons up our sleeves or whatever. It needs to be encouraged.
The one thing that really struck me is over 137,000 people, children, like you said, have missed school, Danielle, because of period poverty. Now, I remember being at school and a few of my girlfriends would maybe have a day off school because they've got bad cramps because of their periods, but not because they couldn't afford the stuff that they need, obviously, to deal with their period. I mean, that statistic is absolutely shocking.
It's absolutely shocking, and, you know, it's a travesty that we've got girls in this country missing school because they can't afford those items. And you're right, you know, you might have to miss school because of cramps and things like that, but if you can't afford the provision, then, you know, we've got girls stuffing socks down their pants, and that's just horrific. And it means then, if you go to school, you're worried all day that it might leak through, and even if, you know, you can't afford enough to change regularly, and it's just awful that we've got girls in that situation here. We can't allow it to go on. Every
so often, it takes someone to make history, make a stand, and do something which actually, you know, it's the 21st century. This shouldn't be a big deal. First time, to our knowledge and to any researchers' knowledge, that has been said in any seat of government anywhere in the world.
That's crazy.
And you were the first one to say it.
I was so shocked. I did not expect when I said that it would be the first time that's happened anywhere. And it made news not just here, but around the world. And in one way, it's good because it got a lot of people talking. It started more of a conversation. But I just can't believe that, you know, something that happens to over half the population and it's the first time anyone's talked about it and it made headlines, you know.
What was the reaction amongst your male counterparts in there? Were there muffled sounds of, well, I don't know about all of that?
That was a very good impression.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you should join us. I didn't hear any sort of shock in the chamber at the time, and most of the reaction that I've had from colleagues has been really supportive. Yeah. But I think, a lot of people were also just shocked that it got such a reaction.
What are we hoping for from Phillip Hammond tomorrow?
I think it's just got to be a commitment in legislation that from now on there will be free menstrual provision in all schools. At the moment, we know that this is stopping girls from going to school, and so it needs to be all schools, primary schools, colleges. Just because you move school from secondary school, it shouldn't be limited to you. I think it needs to be a long-term commitment and not something that the government can just do and then let go of.
Completely.
There's a lot of talk about, especially you listen to sort of talk radio at the moment, and obviously you guys in Parliament are extremely busy on potentially another matter at the moment. But whether or not the facts that we hear about Europe are actually true, or whether they're media inventions, or whether they've been embellished in some way. So, as we've said, Phillip Hammond, Chancellor of the Exchequer, supposedly tomorrow is going to promise in a spring statement to end period poverty. The scheme is expected to mirror Scotland, and it's estimated to cover the same. That's £5 million, and expected that the Treasury will fund it in full. However, we still pay VAT on sanitary products, which are currently classed as luxury, non-essential products.
That's crazy.
The government have stated, and this is the bit that I'm referring to, the EU rules stop them from lowering the VAT any further than 5% or scrapping the tax entirely. And is that true?
Well, it seems to be true, but that's certainly why the government are saying that they can't do it. But because they're saying that, you know, the minute that we're out of Europe, if that happens, I will be knocking on their door and saying, you know, scrap it now, because it can't go on. And we were talking before about we need to be campaigning in Europe as well to make sure that this isn't happening, because you know, this isn't just an issue here.
How can it be classed as a luxury or a non-essential product?
Yeah, let me tell you, it's not a luxury.
No, absolutely.
It's definitely a gendered issue as well, as in there are products like Jaffa cakes that aren't taxed because they're seen as basic and essential, whereas something that's exclusive to women, they've got away this long with saying that these are luxury, and so we should all pay extra.
It's just ridiculous. And I think as well, when you look at your school years, they are can be the most embarrassing, the most self-conscious years of your life. Definitely. You know, where you're finding out who you are. Yeah. And to know that there are children, over 137,000 of them, that are going through this period poverty, when something like this could just change that altogether.
We think you're amazing, and I'm sure that there are a great many women across the country who also think exactly the same thing. It needed someone to stand up. Thank you very much indeed. And this is what a 19-year-old student can achieve. It's been a 2-year crusade, and hopefully you'll achieve everything you want.
I hope so.
And thank you very much indeed.
Good luck tomorrow as well.
Thank you.